In the last video, we started to talk about this idea of elasticity and it as a measure of how much people react when it comes to the demand, and when price changes, how sensitive people are to that change. So we said if people are insensitive to a change, that good must be inelastic. All right? Oftentimes we'll say it's relatively inelastic. Okay, so if it's relatively inelastic, it's this idea that people are insensitive to price changes. So when price changes by even 100%, people's reaction is something less than that. Remember, it's a comparative, it's a ratio of a percent change in price and a percent change in quantity. And now in this video, we're gonna show kind of the opposite side, which is it should come pretty seamlessly. As we were talking about inelastic, we said the elasticity of demand coefficient is something that's less than 1. And an example was when we had the percent change in the quantity divided by the percent change in price. And we saw if the percent change in price was something like 50% change and we had a smaller reaction, something like 40% change, this equals 0.8, and therefore it's less than 1, and that is inelastic. On the other side of things, we would look at something that's elastic. Right? So elastic means there's a big change, there's a relatively large change to the price. So if we look at our lemonade example, we have a cup of lemonade, and lemonade prices go from $1 per cup to, let's say, something like $1.50 per cup, right? So this was an increase in price of 50%, right? So we had a 50% increase in price. And we can look at, okay, at $1, we might have had, let's say that there was 100 being bought at $1. And now at $1.50, we know that this quantity is going to drop. And so let's say it drops down to 40 people buying. All right. So what was the percent change in the quantity being purchased? So just as a simple review, remember we take our new minus our old divided by our old times 100 to give percent change. So our new would be 40 minus 100. Right, divided by 100 equals negative 60 over 100 equals negative 60%. Remember, we drop the negatives, we take the absolute value. So what we've got here is we've got a 50% change in price, and we have a 60% reaction in the quantity. Right? Notice how this quantity change is much larger than the price change. Well, it's slightly larger, but it is larger, right? So when we compare these two and we look at this ratio, what we're going to find out is when we say, okay, we have the 60% change divided by a 50% change, we notice that the percent change in the quantity is greater than the percent change in price, and therefore that must be elastic. So if I take 60 divided by 50, I see that I get a value of 1.2. And 1.2, since it is greater than 1, so our elasticity of demand is greater than 1, and therefore this good is elastic. Meaning that there is a greater percent change in the quantity than the percent change in price. And therefore people are very reactive to percentage. They're very sensitive to price changes when the good is elastic, right? So this good changing from $1 to $1.50, we had a significant decrease in the quantity, and therefore this good is elastic.